Hi, my name is Rachel, and I'm an Ottawa native. So I grew up in Ottawa, born and raised until about 17 years old. For the most part, growing up in Ottawa was always very easy. I felt like I fit in, I felt like I blended in, actually for the most part. And it wasn't actually until high school that I started to realize it was different. Different in the sense where I didn't feel as maybe supported from some of my teachers. I didn't feel as guided from some of my guidance counselors, and always being told by my elders that I had to try harder, I had to do better, I had to make sure that I stand out from the crowd, but more because I'm different. Being different isn't a bad thing, and sometimes it's made to seem like it's a bad thing when you're growing up. And I'm talking about being a Black person, someone of color, a visible minority. We're told always that we have to stand out, we have to do better, we have to have more education, we have to read more, we have to try harder. When in fact, sometimes it's just okay to be yourself. We're all unique, and that's just how it is. So for myself, I was always interested in fashion, never could really relate to anything in school, and that's just because there was nothing to do with fashion. Arts was always really limited, and I knew that's what I wanted to do, and that's the direction I wanted to take. Once I realized that this is really what I wanted to do, I decided to leap over and study fashion, when I was told initially this was something that I probably shouldn't do. So I actually did end up going to college, and I studied fashion marketing. Within my second year of college, I opened my first business at 22, which was the BackroomMtl, an online vintage clothing store. And doing that allowed me to really grow my entrepreneurial skills. And as I was doing that, I realized more and more, this is really my calling and this is for me. So living in Montreal, I was there for about 10 years, grew my business, and then decided to move back to Ottawa. And after moving back, I did realize there were a lot of changes in the city. Being gone for a decade, there were so many changes. However, there were so many opportunities, and specifically in the fashion sector. And I realized that this is really a time for me to, stay here and develop something. So that's when I decided to develop my second platform, which is called Girl Getter. And it is an event platform for female entrepreneurs to showcase their product or service while helping other women in need. And when I was putting on my first event, that's when I started to see a lot of pushback. And pushback in the sense where, having to put on an event, you have to look for venues, you might need some help, you have to look for graphics, you need someone to do a poster for you, you need help advertising and marketing. So all of those things, when reaching out to people and either trying to build their team or even seeking out a venue, there was a lot of pushback once I met people in person. So for the most part, email exchange and calling exchange was great. And then when I would go have a meeting with whomever it was for either the venue or marketing services, it's almost as if they were shocked that the person on the phone or behind the email was the same person that was in front of them. So then I started to experience a little difficulty building my platform because I wasn't receiving the help that I thought I would with my initiative. And I really wanted to keep going because I didn't think that it was fair that I wasn't being given these opportunities in terms of maybe the venue that I wanted or the marketing services that I needed in order to succeed. So because of those things, it made me just want to try harder, like I was always told growing up, to really achieve and accomplish my goals with this platform. Canadian Black history, for as long as I can remember growing up, was never really talked about or discussed. For the most part, in the educational system, we didn't really touch base upon it, almost like we weren't a part of history in a sense. But at a certain point, when you get older, you want to feel like you can relate to the material that you're learning. So you just kind of have to do your own research. In school, Canadian Black History was only really celebrated, of course, for the month of February, because that's Black History Month. And due to that, I didn't really think that it was necessarily something that was fair, just because you learn so much about Canadian history, but quote unquote, Black people are almost not a part of Canadian history. When it comes to the immigration laws in Canadian Black history, it's something that was not necessarily fair, and I think we all know that in a sense, or if you've read about it or taken the time to learn about it, you would know that it's not fair. On March 3rd, 1911, the Minister of Interior was petitioned in regards to the influx of Negroes that were entering Edmonton, Alberta. The Canadians were basically in fear that there were too many Black people entering the country. They believed that Negroes would devalue their farmlands. Moving forward, on April 3rd, 1911, a member from Parliament from Ontario, William Thoburn, rose and asked if they would be in favor of keeping the lands for just the white Canadians. Soon after, on August 12th, 1911, an order was actually passed to not allow Black people to immigrate to Canada for a year due to the fact that they didn't think people of color were suitable for their weather conditions. Luckily, this order wasn't fully put into place due to the fact that we were in an election period and we didn't want to tarnish our allies with the United States. And we also didn't want to currently create a rift within the Black Canadians that we did have here in Canada. There weren't a lot, but there were enough that it could create an issue. So the order wasn't fully put into place. Although Canada's immigration policies have been selective and discriminatory, we're now moving in a place where we can see more positive changes that allow Black people to come into our country. For more information, click on the links below.